Thank you to the committee for allowing us an opportunity to speak. My name is April Ross. I am a survivor of domestic violence, approaching 5 years from my injury. I'll just add that to me, this is highly important because being on the receiving end of someone pointing a gun and firing at you changes so much of your life, and I'm grateful that I'm still here. My family is grateful that I'm still here and not a picture on their fireplace mantle. But there are so many who aren't here because an intimate partner decided you can't leave or you're out of line, and it pulled a firearm on their spouse or lover. I just want to save lives. I just want people to not go through what I went through or families be affected. In my case, the damage to this is so much greater than the individual. It casts such a broad net to your families. And in my instance, my abuser also took his own life and shot the passenger in my car. So you have 3 families and all of those collateral relationships that were severely affected by someone who had the opportunity to take a gun and decided to use it against an intimate partner. If there's any chance that we can reduce those people's access who are likely to take that step, I think it's worth it for any life that can be spared from either death or serious disability. And Janet and I actually met through the Shepherd Center, recovering from spinal cord injuries. I've also done peer support and met other patients similar to both of us who survived but were severely disabled as a result of firearms pulled on them by their partners.
All right, thank you very much. Janet?
Yes, my name's Janet Paulson, and I had been married for 18 years to a man that had issues with alcohol. And there were some mental health issues also. So I finally got to a point where I had to leave, and I had to take my children and leave. I have 13-year-old twin boys. Well, they were 13 at the time. And as soon as I told him I wanted a divorce, the threat started. Why don't you try and leave and see what happens to you? He called my father and told my father that he was going to kill me if I thought I was going to divorce him. He called my neighbors, started telling my neighbors the same thing. It was so scary that the boys and I didn't come home one day. We were living in a hotel. He was also a firearms enthusiast. There were 74 firearms in my home. And when I went to court, like the police told me to do, and my attorney advised me to do, I brought pictures of all the firearms that were in my house. I asked that they would be confiscated, but they let him leave with the handgun in his truck that I had written on a list and that my local police department told that he had. 5 nights later, he ambushed me and he shot me 6 times with a 9mm at close range. He shattered my right femur, he shattered my left knee. I have a through and through in my thigh next to a main artery. I have a through and through from my back out through my stomach, close to my heart. I have another shot that took out a third of my right lung. And then the last shot, as I was laying in my driveway bleeding to death and he walked over 2 feet from me, hit my L2 vertebrae. So I was paralyzed from the waist down. I almost didn't make it to the hospital. When they got me there, they had to crack my chest because my heart had stopped beating. That means they spread my chest, they took electrodes, shocked my heart, and the trauma surgeon massaged it with his hand and it started back. I was told later that that only works 1 out of 100 times that they try and save someone that way. In between 2010 and 2018, there were 850 Georgians killed in domestic violence shootings. That's just shootings. And 20% of those people were not the victim or the perpetrator. They're the children of the victim. They're the other family members that were in the way. See, I got lucky that night. It was just me. He was waiting on myself, my children, and my dad. We were at football practice. But I happened to have groceries in the car, and I came home early. So I was the only one that he got. Most women don't make it. So I feel a responsibility to speak for those women and the ones coming behind April and I, so they don't have to come up here and do the same thing.
Thank you very much.